So, the first question was in your own words, briefly describe Spanish colonial society in the New World. And I said that there were a bunch of bullies that were trying to boss people around. Really, that's what they were trying to do. Yeah. What was the dual purpose of Spain's destruction in Fort Caroline? It helped reduce the danger from the French privatives and eradicated the French threat to Spain's claim to the area. Describe the causes of the Pueblo Revolt. What was the outcome of the conflict? So the Spanish priests insisted that natives discarded the old ways entirely and angered the Pueblo by focusing on the young. So the outcome of that conflict was the expulsion of the Spanish would bring a return to prosperity and pure native way of life. That's what happened. It explained why the Dutch colony of New Netherlands had such a diverse population from the beginning. Well, they had a labor shortage in 1664 and only had 9,000 people living there because it was such a non-desirable place to live. So the small size and population meant there was a labor shortage. So they imported nearly 450 Africans between 1626 and 1664. And they just participated in the slave trade quite a bit. And then Germany, Denmark, Sweden, England, and it embraced a degree of religious tolerance allowing Jewish immigrants to become resistant beginning in the 1650s. So basically just had a whole bunch of people move there because of the labor shortages at first, and then everybody wanted to kind of get a piece. What were patroonships and why were they created? So they were large tracts of land and governing rights granted by merchants by the Dutch West Indies Company in order to encourage colonization. And why they were created? Because the Dutch West Indies found the business of colonization in the Netherlands to be too expensive and to share some of the cost. Describe the relationship between the French colonists and Native Americans. The French colonists pressured the native inhabitants to New France to convert, but they virtually never saw native people as their equals. And then the Jewish priests, they provided a rich source of understanding for both Jewish view and Native American, and the native response to the colonizers. So basically, they kind of just worked out, kind of some sort of deal, and they got along really, really good, but they did not get along with the English. Outline the difference between New England and the Chesapeake colonies explained by the England. Be sure to include examples as well as what caused differences. So the differences lay in England's domestic programs. So basically, they had a bunch of, in the 1600s and 1530s, demanded compliance with its practices, but the Persians pressed for greater reforms. By the 1620s, Church of England had begun seeing their followers as outlaws. So basically, they had a power struggle within their own church. And then in the 1640s, Civil War broke out. In the 1650s, therefore England became a republic, a state without a king, which you can't have that. What were two indentured servants? Why were they headright systems so enticing? So an intern is a labor contract that young improvised an illiterate Englishman and occasionally English woman signed in England, pledging to work for a number of years. There was a struggle growing tobacco in the place, wherever they grew tobacco at first. At the end of their injured servants received freedom duties, usually food and other provisions in case Yeah, and then the headright system and the promise of new life and servants acted as powerful incentives for English migrations to hazard the journey of the New World. And then what were the causes of and outcomes of the wars? So the first one was in 1609 to 1614, resulted not only from the English colonists. It was basically a love story. That's what the first one was for. And then in 1654, converted to Christianity. The second war broke out because the expansion of the English settlement nearly 100,000 miles into the interior, and because of the continued insults and friction caused by English activities, the Parliament attacked in 1622 and succeeded in killing almost 350 English and a third of the settlers. And then the third one began with a surprise attack, which killed around 500 English. However, their ultimate defeat in this conflict forced the Parliament Wars acknowledged King Charles as their sovereign. The Parliament, spanning nearly 40 years, illustrated a degree of native resistance that revolted from the English intrusion into the Parliament Confederacy. Okay. Dang.